Hi, Mark Keane here from Sleeping Serpent, your full-time professional wizard at your service. Let's talk about NASA. Let's talk about this Lunar Flyby that happened on the 1st of April 2026.
Ready to ride the most powerful rocket NASA has ever launched. Sound suppression water is flowing.
15.
And here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7. RS-25 engines lit. 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition. And liftoff. The crew of Artemis 2 now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
Let's dive deep because there's a lot of things that they aren't telling you. For example, did you know that the logo for the National Space Intelligence Center has actually changed to incorporate the Sphinx, to incorporate, the famous headdress that we see in the Tutankhamun's bust and you see in the Sphinx. Now, that's quite interesting because if you know my journey, you'll know that in 2003, I had a spiritual awakening. That spiritual awakening was completely unprecedented. I wasn't looking for it. I was studying the Great Pyramid. By thinking about the pyramid, my body flooded with light, and I remembered what that technology was used for. It was used by the pharaoh to go into the ascension chamber, the king's chamber, go out of body and travel to different star systems. One of those star systems was Orion. So how is it then that this spacecraft that's just been manned to go around the moon has been named Orion? There's something very interesting going on, something they're not telling you, right? Orion is Osiris in ancient Egypt. It's the same deity mapped to that constellation. But what my Ancient Egyptian Serpent Shamanism course is all about, which I developed as a result of this spiritual awakening in 2003, is all about imagining that you're going into the pyramid, being initiated into this ascension chamber, right? Traveling to Orion to meet Osiris and basically enacting the mythology of Osiris and Isis, right? The king and queen and brother and sister of ancient Egypt, right? That the very dawning of that incredible society, okay? Why is this important? Because Isis heals Osiris, causing a resurrection, very much like Jesus was resurrected. And the three women were there at his grave, the three Marys, which is symbolic of the triple goddess, also known as the Kundalini Shakti. If you know anything about me, you know I'm obsessed with the Kundalini. What's the Kundalini? It's the goddess. It's the divine feminine. It's our life force which moves from the source of our existence and animates us and rebirths us and regenerates us and resurrects us, right? So isn't it interesting then that this lunar flyby happens at Easter, the day that Jesus Christ rises from the dead? I've got a particular attachment to this because I was born on Easter Monday. So I know a lot about Easter. Easter is calculated by the full moon following the spring equinox. Why? Spring is when things spring into new life, right? Then you get the lambs, you get the plants, you get the daffodils, everything springing into new life. It's spring. That's why it's called spring. The spring equinox is when you get this kind of zenith of the energy of spring, okay? And then the moon, the full moon, amplifies that energy. So that's a super potent time to regenerate and rebirth, just like it's regenerating and rebirthing life all across the earth, right? But Easter itself is then simply calculated as the Sunday following that. So they were basically flying by the moon Sunday, and then Easter Monday, they actually were right at the back of the moon, which is very interesting. They left on April Fool's Day, which is the day of the sacred fool. In some of the tarot, you get the sacred fool and he's got one leg on the earth, on terra firma, and the other one stepping into the unknown, and then this little dog is about to jump into the unknown. That's kind of what it is when you're going out into space, going around the moon for the first time in over 50 years. Extraordinary, extraordinary. And respect must go to Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen as these 4 incredible brave astronauts to go around the back of the moon. Why? You know, the moon represents the unconscious, especially the collective unconscious, I would say. When you're going around the back of the moon, that is like really reflecting back to humanity that we are putting our awareness onto the dark recess of the collective consciousness. Why is that good news? Because nothing can change without putting the light of loving awareness on it. But by them going around the back of the moon, seeing that there aren't any Nazis there or any like dark, weird things that are collectively these inner demons that humanity holds, and it's just this beautiful sight of the moon, what that does is usher in this sense of healing, that we are now putting the trauma of the past, of the world wars, of the corruption, of the power of the elite controlling humanity, or the aristocracy, or the violence behind us. There's actually a prophecy that exactly when they were going around the moon at Easter time, Easter Sunday to be exact, that in the pores of the Sphinx, you would see the star Regulus rise on the horizon, right? And that would usher in a time of 1,000 years of peace. 1,000 years of peace. Can you imagine how extraordinary that would be? So it's like all these wars that are still happening in the world, that's the old world still playing out, right? It's like no one's told them the world has changed. But you and I both know that the world has changed. We don't want to partake in war anymore. It's getting harder and harder to get people to join the army. We want to be peaceful. We don't want to fight. We realize that we're all one. We realize that people all around the earth, we might look different, right? We might have different beliefs, but we're all one race. We're all human beings. And what is the one thing that the 4 astronauts came back with? If you saw the launch, the beautiful launch, and you saw them when they came back, what was the one thing they talked about the most? You know, love. Love. They had so much love, it was almost overwhelming. Love for humanity. Because when you are outside of the earth, the divisions aren't there. The barriers aren't there. You just see this one beautiful family there in all of this darkness, and we are the light and we are one. What an extraordinary reflection from the back of the moon that these astronauts have reminded us that when you put the love and the light of awareness onto the back of the recesses of our minds, you realize that ultimately we are one, because we're all coming from the same source, right? That same source that our life force springs from is love, right? Our true nature is eternal love. It is light. It is an immortal soul, part of the great spirit. We're all connected by this golden thread, this web of light. We are luminous. We are extraordinary. We are immortal. We are powerful. We don't die. It's all really good news. And I just want to put that out there, because that journey was a beacon of hope and light for all of humanity. And maybe, just maybe, it is the dawning of this new earth that we've been talking about, the dawning of Aquarius, all of that stuff. We've got to make that happen. We've got to believe in peace. Start paying attention to the news. Start paying attention to the negativity. Keep coming back to peace. Meditate. That's what I'm all about. I'm all about meditation, alchemy, magic, bringing the wizards and witches back to this world. And if you're interested in my course, do check it out. I'll leave a link in the description below. Ancient Egyptian Serpent Shamanism is all about traveling to the stars and meeting the goddess Isis, so we can heal and rebirth and regenerate just like Osiris did, just as Jesus did, because it's the nature of our life force energy that we call the Kundalini, or the Artemis in ancient Egypt, to keep regenerating, keep rebirthing, and keep realizing that this energy keeps springing forth from the part of us that doesn't need healing, is always pure, always here, always now, our immortal soul dancing in the infinite expansion of inner peace. Thanks very much for watching this video. I really enjoyed making it for you. It's all good news. Well done, NASA. and see you in the next video.